All right, I think we're live. So this stream will be very similar to the last stream. I've done no new work on the block mining simulation game in the last week, and that's because I've been working on a new long form video that'll hopefully come out this week. So today we're just keeping up the Saturday schedule. Let's see what else happened. Yeah, mainly just work on the video. It's, I guess if you want a sneak peek / hint, it's going to be very topically related to lithography. Oh, look at that, it's a bug. Oh yeah, we established that last time. I haven't had time to come back to this last week at all. Yeah, so the next video is on it's almost more of like an optics video, and it's about some of the necessary equipment that you would need to do if you want to do your own lithography. So yeah, that's mostly done. Just have some like annotation to do on that. What else is new? Oh yeah, the Eviction situation. Haven't done an update on that in a while. There's been lots of things have kind of cooled down for a bit. I mean, they handed out all the eviction notices to all the long-term residents, and I think the next step is for the landlord to file an L2 against everyone. They've already filed against some of the people in one slice of the building. They haven't filed against me yet, so that'll probably be any day now. I'll probably get a letter from the landlord tenant board. Our first chatter. It looks, is your name just underscore? Underscore says, just passing by to say hi. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, there's that really significant bug. Sounds about right. I recently had reserved parking scheme pop up, as well as a policy where they tow any vehicles that have expired tags. Yeah, it's so hard, like being alive now. Like everything is like some racketeering scam. Like even services that you supposedly pay for, and like every parking sign everywhere is just so cryptic, and it's all designed to extract money from you. In California, DMV is horrible. I've been paying but not receiving my tags for 2 years. Wow, that's just like, I mean, that's an essential government service. Yeah, when I was in California, when I was interned at NVIDIA, I actually had some my experience with the Social Security Administration down there, and that was interesting. How we were at NVIDIA, there's they just hired buses to take all the interns to the Social Security office to hopefully get our like visas and stuff like that. And I remember we waited for most people were there on like an F1 visa, and I was on there on a J1 visa. And I remember they processed a bunch of the F1 visas and like said, gave them like a temporary thing to get a social security number, and then later they like it was like a Friday before a long weekend. Then they just said, actually, no, we don't have time to do all this stuff. And then later, some of these people went back and they had like a temporary case number or whatever, and then at another office, and at that office they said that they had no record of like this person ever having applied, so they just like canceled all their applications or something. It was a very strange process where we went to one and they just like refused to give some people their paperwork, so we just like went to a different they hired a bus again to go to a different Social Security office. Been to the DMV over 8 times over this. They've just decided to not try anymore. If it could pull it over, so be it. It's their negligence. The problem though is like with these dysfunctional systems, you always get the blame for it. I'll be putting aftermarket brakes on the car to prevent it from being towed. Vehicle is extremely low and it's basically impossible to tow by all 4 tires. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that whole situation. It's this is another sign of the societal collapse. That you can't even engage with government services anymore. I guess the other update is there is 7 days to go on the Kickstarter. Somebody asked me on the Kickstarter page, they left a comment asking for an update. I guess I haven't posted any updates there because I've been just doing the updates on the streams, but I have actually done a fair amount of development over the last month or so. It's just that most of it doesn't really it doesn't show up in the gameplay, but it's kind of the gateway toward supporting a lot more things. Also had a scare in my city where water treatment failed because the power went out for 3 hours during a 120 heat wave. Wow. Water treatment failed. I hope they like communicated that to people so that people could avoid getting dysentery. Yeah, Calgary as well has they've had like a boil water advisory for quite a while now. Or I guess they just lifted it because they've been doing. They found like a bunch of damage, and then I remember at first they were like, we're gonna have to restrict water usage for like a week, and then that 1 week it apparently just ended, so it's been like months now that everyone's been on supposedly water restrictions. Wasn't a emergency boil water notice similar to an Amber Alert? Oh, that's good. At least they let you know. I mean, the worst case is they like that stuff fails and they just don't do anything about it and don't tell people. I think if I remember correctly, that whole like the Flint water crisis in like around Detroit, Flint, Michigan, which I think is like near Detroit. That was all that damage. Or I think that some of the lead in the pipes, it was due to like the system was functioning okay, and then for some reason they let like river water into it. Because it's river water, they had to put like tons of chlorine in it. And then it was the chlorine that caused the damage. The excess chlorine that caused the damage. and that allowed stuff to leak in, I think, if I remember hearing this description correctly. And so they kind of like knew it wasn't good, but then they, out of negligence, they just didn't really do much about it, and the rest is history. Those people got sued civilly. They got sent to prison for negligence. Chlorine can strip the calcification layer from lead pipes, causing lead poisoning. Yes, something like that. That's approximately how I remember it. But it's funny and unfortunate how much chaos is caused just by negligence. Sander says, good evening. Good evening to you too. Me and my family having to put antacid tablets in our water because it's too acidic somehow. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about water quality treatment to say if you should be concerned or not. I guess acidity is high acidity can be caused by lots of different mineral by lots of different minerals that can be present. So I guess I'd be more concerned about like what specific minerals are causing that extreme acidification rather than the acidity. But I guess it's, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever played Dwarf Fortress? I have not played Dwarf Fortress. I looked into it. I would say I've read about it and researched it quite a bit, just because it's a strange game, and I think, in a way, it's like interesting. It's an interesting case study because it's such an abstract representation of a game, but it has a really loyal following. So, like, as a case study in game development theory, I think it's really interesting. Is the plastic PET piping degrading? Pretty sure. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Degraded plastic in your water. That's that can't be good. Might need to do water testing here potentially, but plastics do not have a safe limit from the FDA yet. Yeah, I don't know. We're eating so much, like eating and drinking so much garbage. So much of our food is like people say there's processed food, but I think a lot of food is just like fake now. It's not even like, it's not even anything real. Like I actually, in my video about for anyone who watched my video about my silicon tier list, the silicon dioxide nanoparticles, like those really small fluffy white particles, I remember looking up like what are the uses of those, and I found out apparently those are used as a food additive. They add silicon dioxide, like basically they add literal sand to food to guess make it to make it look more white or something, or to act as a filler. So I think that's pretty it's pretty funny. Yeah, crazy dev project, that game. Yeah, they I think they released Dwarf Fortress on Steam for the first time, like, I don't know, a year ago or something, and it made it's made like millions now. But I remember it's had like a small cult following for quite a while, where there was there's like a bunch of people that sponsor it for I don't know how much a month. And that's kept the development going all these years. Go buy an ice cream sandwich, leave it on a plate for a couple hours. I dare you. Yeah. Yeah, I actually stopped buying ice cream. Like, there's those really nice, those really sugary ice creams, like the Hershey's or the Kit Kat ice cream and stuff. And I used to like those, but in the last few years, whenever I have them, like it gives me really bad indigestion and stuff. And I've also noticed that it, like, if you let it melt, it doesn't melt like normal ice cream. Maybe that's what you were suggesting there with the ice cream sandwich. And if it doesn't melt, I have to wonder, like, what's it made of? The cheapest bread in the local supermarket tastes a bit like sand, probably because it is sand. I mean, that's where we are now. Everything is like, and I actually think that's one of the reasons that fruit tastes terrible now. I've heard that from other people, that fruit that you buy now, it's lost its flavor. And I think my guess is probably what happened is that most fruit is sold based on by the weight. And if you think, like, in terms of like selective breeding or genetic engineering, what's the easiest way to increase the weight of a piece of fruit? I think it's probably just absorb more water. So if you have fruit that is like just has a higher water content, it's going to be heavier, so you can sell it for more. But the actual like fruit contents are much lower now. Genetically modified whole water bar, yeah. Yeah, and it's just the law of like economics. Like, even if you started a company where you said, we're going to grow fruit that is actually good, and it's not just water, or we're gonna not put sand in our bread, then unless you're so like successful at that financially, that you can outcompete the people that are working, doing the opposite of that, then the sand bread is going to probably win over if it makes more money. And they're going to put you're going to go out of business soon, unless there's some kind of like consumer driven push to actually demand that stuff tastes good rather than just be cheap. Companies were complaining that consumers were buying from taste and not cost anymore. Gen Z was like, cry about it. I don't know. I don't know much about the generation differences. I'm kind of skeptical of all those. People say millennials this and Gen Z that, but at the same time, we have such like unprecedented immigration and stuff, and so many things are changing that a lot of the newer generations, they don't really have like a fixed identity or like commonality. Yeah, wages and working conditions, that's another whole thing. I mean, I think one of the biggest differences now too is just like the ability, even if working conditions are equal, the ability to get a job at a place and like move up the corporate ladder, or get a job and then stay there for 30 years. That ability doesn't exist anymore. That's like unheard of, to stay in one place for 30 years now. And I mean, that adds so much extra stress and inefficiency. The extra stress of maybe being laid off, and then if you do get laid off, especially now, it's taking people like, it's 8 months to a year to get a job. And then when you do get a job, you can get laid off still. Like, so much of your working life is going to producing things that are not at all productive for the economy. Without notice to maximum 2 weeks if they're nice. You mean for the employers to give you notice? That's like I know that's the standard that employees are supposed to give, but I mean, some people just get a Zoom call, or like they wake up and they find out they're locked out of all their accounts, and then they get an email saying they've been laid off. Currently, in California, it's becoming the norm to give some sort of notice, because you can be sued if you harm your employee's way of living by an unexpected harsh change. And that's good to give, at least some kind of notice. I mean, if employees are expected to give, if there's some like standard expectation for employees, there should be the same for employers. I mean, probably from, out of the current employment chaos, maybe there will be some new wave of like rights demanded, or like in the early 1900s, working conditions were awful, and then they developed unions. But it kind of seems like unions now, like based on what I see on the news, I don't even know if I'd want to be associated with the union, because it seems like unions are like the way they actually act is they're almost like a second tyrant to rule over the employees and pay dues to and stuff. They don't always, they're not actually worth what you pay for them. But if we go through some kind of other, if we go through another 5 years of this horrible job market, maybe people will start, like, things will settle down. People will, start demanding some standards, and like the whole, the process of sending out resumes and stuff like that now, and like getting interviews is so, it's so horrible and inefficient for both parties, and especially now with like how a lot of the people that evaluate your resume, your resume can be evaluated by like an AI, but then also people are using AI to make resumes, and then people are using, some employees would use an AI to try and beat the employer's AI, and it's just like AIs talking to each other, and companies with fake job listings, and people ghosting you, and the whole thing is just so inefficient. It just seems like it can't possibly be continued, and eventually I think it'll have to get replaced by something else. Like some company will find out a smarter way to hire people, and then those companies are going to be the ones that are the only ones that can get employees. Yeah, it's all garbage, and it's so inefficient. Like, just think about how many, like for some unlucky people who get laid off, every few years or something. Think about what percentage of their life they spend like working on their resume. Like building a resume does not increase GDP. It doesn't like make anything for anyone. I see the heart icon has changed. Oh, nice. Maybe they listened to me. Yeah, I guess I'm sure enough people complained. It seems like a major design oversight that was in the way in the first place. The all-knowing Google AI knows. Ford is having an issue where new trucks just randomly catch on fire. That's not very good. Are these electric or gas powered? Gasoline. Is there any information on where the fire starts? Center console. Yeah, I guess maybe an electrical issue or whatever it is. They better figure it out fast. Wiring harness has a recall, but even after repairs, it can still happen. Wiring harness. Oh, okay. Must be the maybe the wiring harness is starting to go like it's abrading and cutting into the wires and shorting it. Because I guess if you end up shorting the battery, car or truck battery has a lot of energy in it. So if you you short that out, you can generate quite a bit of heat in a short period of time. Because they have they're to start the engine, you have to be able to support a high cranking amps, like 20 amps or something, or it's, I think even more than that at 12 volts. Yeah, I think hundreds of amps is probably more like it, and they can sustain that quite for a decent amount of time. But that's like pretty unique among. If you compare that to like household batteries, you're only getting like 1 amp or something if you short them out. Yeah, so 12 volts at 500 amps. Yeah, so 500 amps times 12, or say times 10, so 5,000 watts of energy. And a watt is a joule second. So if you sit down and do your math, if you take a small wire and dump 5,000 watts of energy into it in a few seconds, then you could calculate the surface temperature of what that wire is going to be, given the surface area. Alitrax Sinmail says, I just watched your how to make a CPU from scratch video. Awesome. That's my most popular video. I'm glad that it's finally taken off. Took quite a few years for it to pop off, but it's finally getting the respect that it deserves. I love the sarcasm, but now I gotta try it. Well, that's why I made it, so people would watch that video and be like, hey, maybe I could make my own CPU. And I'm sure, what with the 5 million people that watch the video, there's bound to be a few people out there who work in a lab or something, or maybe have a bit more equipment to give it a good old try. DBH, I think they could have got counterfeit fuses delivered to their factory. More common than you'd think. Amazon sells them even. Yeah, Amazon is becoming a problem. Everything that I buy on Amazon, it's like, it's just, it's fake garbage. It's like, it's the quality of, like all the fake stuff that I get from eBay. And I find with eBay, it's like, it's literally the same product sometimes as Amazon, but with eBay, I just pay less. I have to wait longer for shipping. I work in a battery factory myself. Huh, interesting. Yeah, speaking of batteries, we were talking about, I don't know if you were here for that conversation about truck batteries and the amps. Yeah, battery factory, I don't know. I don't think they have enough. If you want to make your own CPUs, I don't think you'll be able to leverage much of the battery factory technology, but I guess you can learn a bit about industrial manufacturing, and then once you master that, then you can start your CPU factory. I wasn't here. Yeah, we were talking about apparently Ford has an issue with vehicles catching fire, and Bradley was saying that it was something to do with the wire harness, and I guess presumably, I'm guessing that it's probably the wire harness is cutting into the wires and shorting it out. And we were saying how any vehicle batteries can support a pretty high amperage for at least a few seconds. Stunningly high amount of amps. Yeah, I wish I had more time. I would like to do some like solar off-grid projects with buy a bunch of those. I guess you need like deep cycle marine batteries to do solar stuff, because if you I guess if you try to do deep cycling of a vehicle battery, I think it permanently damages it. But all that stuff is pretty cool, and YouTube is fantastic for that. There's so many cool guides that people have about like their off-grid camping solar solutions. Well, there's a lot to it with like learning all the inverters and stuff, and if you want to do like to have like something that can fail over to do to have redundancy for your house power, you got to think about like frequency synchronization, or like the phase synchronization, because if you don't have that, then that's why I guess a lot of solar installations are all grid tied. So if you actually lose power, you lose the like reference frequency, so you can't actually power your house on your solar. And you need extra equipment to be able to support that use case. And like you need a physical disconnect. LiPo 4 cells, way better than lead acid. Deep cycle right now. Fe iron lasts about 10 years at 80% degradation, while lead acid is independent on cycle count and degrades to 20% if you cycle daily. Yeah, I don't know. I know there's quite a few different lithium battery variants. I don't know much about all of them. What am I watching? You're watching gameplay of the block mining simulation game, for which I currently have a Kickstarter active. It is a terminal-based video game where you mine blocks in the terminal. So you spam the M key and use that to mine blocks. And so you can move around in the XY, and then I can go up with the space bar. And it's an infinite, procedurally generated world. LiPo, much more unstable than LiPo 4, but is about 3x as energy dense. Yeah, I find that impressive, how like something like that can be, like it's already, I would assume they're already pretty close to like the physical maximum, or like the theoretical maximum for energy density. It's like just looking at like the periodic table and looking at the like electron negativity and electron positivity. I would assume the lithium and fluoride, I think those are the two extremes. Those would be like basically all there is for the limit on chemicals, but to be able to triple the energy density, that's that's impressive. I guess maybe it comes down to some kind of like surface area type thing, or like having some kind of like crystal high surface area crystal substrate or something that are like having tiny capacitors in it. I don't know much about the advanced battery development. I know that my hybrid vehicle has cobalt nickel metal hydride cells, which unfortunately cobalt mines have that reputation now. You know, cobalt is one of those ones that's toxic, and people have all the environmental concerns about. That and the labor practices in Africa and Egypt, yeah. Yeah, the cobalt mines, the mines they have in Africa are all insane, and a lot of them are like in conflict regions and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to change the ratios of consumption. The game is starting to feel not quite balanced. I'm gonna have to have something like actually produce from once you get to iron, because it's very hard to get an iron pickaxe, I find now. Then you use them quickly and there's nothing to do. I say I need to introduce something you can actually do with like all the different bauxite and metallic copper, and I don't know, I have to think about something to add with the different elements. Maybe like a stock market or something, where you sell them. Autocraft upgrade. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many directions that it could go. Before I get like too deep into game mechanics, I'd like to kind of finish off some. There's some like kind of deep refactoring to the game engine I need to do. Otherwise, it'll be like I'd like to finish implementing some of the proper client server stuff. I still need to do like actual game ticks, because there may actually be some more lag issues around that. I don't know how. I should make that work properly before I add too many kinds of game events. So right now everything's just happening on the client. There's no like the client processes what happens during the events and checks the inventory and stuff. But it really needs to be the game sends commands to the server, and then the server does the actual implementation of checking if you're able to create an item, for example. Now that's a bit of work, but I'm going to finish off these UI changes. Once I have those major UI changes, then I think it'll make things a little bit more interesting. It won't just be the exact same boring block mining map over and over again. we're back at the origin. And I still have 0 iron pickaxes. I think that this could be really fun with some other like mining agents or something. If you can like craft an agent and then it could like auto mine for you. One of the big ideas that I had for this was like in Minecraft, there's this concept of like chunk loading, and if you have like machines and stuff you craft out of redstone, if you go out of if you like go too far away from them, they will unload, and there's all these hoops you have to jump through to force chunks to stay loaded. But in this game I could make that like a kind of like primary feature that you can explicitly keep chunks in the game loaded to maybe some, if you have some like there's maybe some like a game mechanic cost to it. Because obviously the more chunks you have loaded with, you know, something going on, the slower it's going to be. Well, I think I guess there was no points to prove today. I guess I remembered that that bug exists with that their bug where it duplicates the player. Need to fix that. I forgot about that. But otherwise, I think I'll probably call it a night. And like I said before, I'll do. So there's only 7 days left in the Kickstarter. I'll do a stream on Tuesday, and then do another one on Saturday, which I guess will be the last day of the Kickstarter. And then I'll probably switch to just do streaming once a week. I'm going to try to I have a backlog of videos, long form videos that I want to publish, so I'll focus on them for a while. So anyway, have a good night, guys. Talk to you later.